when you don't need the thing, it is amazing how doors will open up to you.
So true.
There's like, Jason Bateman says this thing, it's called sexy indifference. And if you can have sexy indifference, like the world is your oyster, you know?
Welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. We are going to dive into acting insights, meet industry pros, and master the business. Don't forget to subscribe and share. We're keeping you behind the scenes and ahead of the game. Hey everyone, welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. If you're coming back, thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. And if this is your first time, welcome. Get ready for a very impactful episode. By the way, we looked on the back end of things, and over half of our viewers and listeners are not subscribed. Shame! Shame, shame. So if that's you, make sure to hit the subscribe button right now or that follow button so you do not miss another industry pro and different lessons and stories, strategies and tactics that are going to help you on your journey. So thanks again for being here, and let's dive right in with a very special guest of Marlo Tiede Casting, casting associate Dalex Miller. What's up, Dalex?
What's up, duder?
How are you, man?
Doing great. It's a
I'm
beautiful
happy
day.
to have you here. Thank you for being here, man.
Of course.
And so I like to just immediately dive in. And I mean, first off, I want to, if you guys aren't watching Hysteria,
Get on it.
get on it. Yep, it's on Peacock. And it's been out for a couple weeks-ish, and perfect for the season. And so I wanted to make sure to kind of chat about that. But before we dive into the show and the awesome work that you guys did on that, you originally were an actor, decided to move out to LA, then kind of found your way into the casting space. How did all that happen? And by the way, I quickly just want to say, like, I love it because I think so many people can be like, I want to do this acting thing, right? And they can look at themselves as like, I'm this failure if I decide to pivot or decide to transition. And I just don't think that's the case. It's like, do the thing that's going to fulfill you, that's going to make you feel good and be able to like stay in the industry. So anyway,
sure.
I'd love to hear how that transition was for you.
It was one of those, like, not an obvious blessings. You could call it a blessing in disguise. I had in high school the directive and like ambition to move to LA. I was like, that's where I'm going. No matter what happens between now and then, you know, if college was that, I was like, I'm going. So I did graduate college and then immediately moved out there with the assumption and ambition that I was going to pursue acting professionally. Within 5 months, I had broken my 2 front teeth off and had to figure out life very quickly.
Oh my gosh.
And so
I also have this tooth is also fake.
We are kindred spirits
Oh my gosh.
in the dental game.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I got to hear your story then. So as a 23-year-old in a new city and trying to figure out life, I had a lot thrown on me at once. And so I took an audience casting job that I found on Craigslist, if you can believe that.
I mean, Craigslist, was it back in the day?
Back in the day, I'm absolutely dating myself. It was a series of just this led to this, led to this. I had a friend who asked me to cast his play because he's like, you work in casting, to which I laughed. I was like, yeah, sure. But I appreciated the vote of confidence and the challenge. And it was in that process that I was like, oh no, I like this. And I think I have a gift for this. I'd like to continue to pursue this. So it was at a time when you could get an internship, and that led to, other internships. And I kind of saw the swath of like what scripted casting looked like, what commercial casting looked like. And I was lucky enough to be sort of embraced within the world of scripted casting by a specific office. And, just the right things lined up. And I saw my old boss at a showcase, like a collegiate, like master's program showcase. And like a week later, I got a phone call. It's like, do you want a job? And I was like, I absolutely want a job.
Yeah. You're like, it doesn't come with dental insurance.
Yeah. Which, thank God for the union.
Right.
Local Teamsters $3.99. But yeah. So it was just a series of like me wanting, like having opportunities and then wanting to continue to be curious about it and pursue it. And like the universe or whatever conspiring to give me those opportunities. And here we are today.
I love that when you were kind of going through it, you realized that you were like, I have a gift for this.
Yeah.
How were you able to distinguish that? Because I think we have a lot of gifts, right? And for somebody that's like maybe going after something and then that's actually supposed to lead them to something else, they need to be open to it. And I think being able to like see that gift in yourself is pretty key. So is there like what made you kind of realize that?
Honestly, it was one specific actor. I remember late one night looking through the submissions for this play, and I was like, you know, having had conversations with the director and the writers and stuff, and I was like, that guy, I think it's him. And we brought him in, we auditioned him, and it was like so blazingly honest, like obvious that, oh no, he is the DNA of this character. And for, you know, a play that's being produced in West Hollywood to, you know, an audience of almost nobody, that may not mean anything, but it meant something to me because I was like, okay, I can see the core identity of somebody, and I can, you know, audition them, and like this skill set of not just leaning solely on, you know, looks, but like getting into the depth of what somebody carries at their core DNA. I think that was part of it. I was just like, no, I can read people. I can get a sense of what might fit. And then, you know, the skill set of being able to like also act and direct an actor to a performance is, you know, all the things kind of conspired together.
That's awesome. You talk about being able to direct an actor, and obviously with how things have changed now, how have you adjusted, and in working with Marlo so much, I guess both of you as a team adjusted from the days in LA to now, you know, to doing Hysteria, all self-tape, I imagine. I'm sure did like some live Zoom stuff.
We did.
But how has that adjustment been? If you're an actor wanting to improve your auditions, I have great news because our Improve Your Audition Bootcamp is coming up. This is one of my favorite challenges that we do, or boot camps that we put together of the entire year, because it focuses on what our job is as actors, which is improve your audition. So if you're wanting specific strategies to make your audition stand out, to know what to do to kind of have those self-tape hacks to make self-taping more fun, easier, and make your auditions more engaging, then you're going to want to show up to this boot camp. It's an incredible deal because it's 2 weeks long, only $37. And don't let me forget to tell you that we also bring in some of the top casting directors of the Southeast to help teach this and go over it. So we're going to be working on different things every single class, and then actors will be selected at random to do either a live Zoom or self-tape. Everyone will get the homework so we all can implement these different strategies and tactics, so you are learning and growing in this boot camp to actually improve your audition. And then who knows, maybe you even get selected to help us run that class with that big casting director. So I hope to see you there. Again, it's only $37, but by the way, if you look in the description, there might be a promo code there. So use that promo code now, grab your spot, and I can't wait to see you at our Improve Your Audition Bootcamp.
It was inevitable. The adjustment is pretty seamless, honestly. I enjoy working with actors so much that like losing the room and not having that be a part and parcel of the process was hard. But having the option for like live Zoom sessions when we're reading actors has been great. And people have been cast off of those live sessions, you know? And that I think is a huge win, knowing that like their prep meeting, you know, this opportunity does not, you know, it still allows for the process to work. And it's not like, oh, you have to self-tape, like you have to be in complete control of everything, lighting, etc. No, you can show up on the day, get direction, and book the thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you have any Do you have like a cool story from casting in LA that I guess kind of like a big like a moment, you know, is there like a moment or something where it's like, oh, like actors need this, you know? Because when you started on the acting side,
Yeah.
moving to casting, you know, you kind of have I think like an advantage of like, oh, actors are going through this, so you can kind of help them with that, right? What about the other side of it? Is like now being on the casting side, is like, oh, I wish maybe when I was an actor, I wish I could have told myself this.
Gosh, yeah, so much that I wish I could have told a younger version of me. I think a lot of it is more in the mental health landscape of like, you have to be willing to take care of yourself first. From like your creative art does not thrive if you are not thriving mentally, emotionally, and all that stuff. And the amount of time, the length of time it took for me to really embrace what that looks like, I think I wish that I had just gotten into that faster. And I hope that artists are taking care of themselves on that level, because when you don't need the thing, it is amazing how doors will open up to you.
So
And
true.
There's like, Jason Bateman says this thing, it's called sexy indifference. And if you can have sexy indifference, like the world is your oyster, you know, like
Yeah.
it is, things will open up to you. And like, I used to be like, why would an actor pass or turn down something? Like, why would you not take everything? And now I understand. I'm like, no, it is an investment of your time, energy, and like who you are. So like, be selective about what you want to bring yourself to and what you're inviting into your life. So I think like when I was still auditioning, I was auditioning at breakneck speed, and it was like all these different appointments, all these different, you know, auditions and opportunities. And I like burnt out. And it was like, if only I had been able to say, okay, what is actually something that you want to invest yourself in? Is this might look like a good opportunity, but is this worth like all of the things you're going to put into it in order to just achieve getting that audition sent off, you know? Like, maximize your potential and maximize the, you know, the amount of energy that you're able to like preserve and cultivate.
Yeah, I was talking to another casting director the other day, and they were talking about how this actor that they know have been auditioning for a long time, kind of based on, you know, whatever, just kind of life, decided to take a few years off.
Yeah.
And then came back and started seeing the auditions, and the casting director was like, the auditions are like night and day. I'm like sending them on to producers all the time.
There you go.
Saw them at a party and was like, why? Like, what do you think it is? Like,
Yeah.
what do you think it is? And the actor responded like, my life is just so full now. That's all I can think of. It's just like, I'm, you know, like I'm a mom, I'm doing all these things, and just my life is full. And, you know, yeah, it's like it's so interesting, right? It's like, care less, you'll be better. It's like, what? That doesn't seem to make sense. But it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true because somehow, and you can maybe talk about this, but there's something that you can see when an actor is like desperate, when an actor really wants it, like you can see it, you can sense it somehow.
Yeah, it's just, it sort of permeates the experience, and you may not have language to like be like, oh, that's what that is, but you'll feel the sort of desperation or need. It just kind of hits you, and you're like, ah, okay, cool, you know, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Versus like, yeah, just walking in and like, I mean, I think there's a likelihood I got a job because I walked into the interview fully not expecting to get it. And then I got a call later that afternoon. I mean, we were finishing up a pilot like sketch series for Fox at the time. So it's like I had a job too. So like those things combined, I feel like. But then I get this call and I'm like, oh, okay. And I have to call my co-casting director and be like, hey, I know we're wrapping up here, but I might have another job already. So,
I mean, that's how you want it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the just like, yeah, it's adding more things. I mean, the most important is just like, don't make this be your everything.
Yeah,
is really what it comes
for
down
sure.
to.
And that's hard, especially for an artist. Like that was something that I wanted to be known as an artist. I wanted to be known as like worthy because I invested so much energy in this thing that I was losing a sense of who I was. And I would caution anybody to like, you know, like have those healthy barriers in place and know that your self-worth is not dependent on the jobs you book or any of that stuff. Your worth is based on you existing, bar none.
How do you feel in talking with so many different agents and CDs and stuff? What I've heard is that the Southeast balances way better, kind of what you're talking about, than like the Los Angeles side. And is that like what you see? And then is there, kind of based on being on both coasts, like one that you think is better?
Balance in terms of like work life or like, yeah, there's like if you were working on a pilot, man, you worked 13 hours a day sometimes, and we definitely had seasons like that. But the demands are different. It's interesting how, yeah, the expectations of like the work day are different. That's probably the most obvious thing to me. Is like you're kind of done at 5 or 5:30 here, and I would always, you kind of just assumed you're working 9 to 6:30 over there, depending on if you got stuff from production after the fact, and you could still get an agent, be like, hey, are they still available? Here's an offer or whatever. Yeah, there's definitely a more, like, I don't want to say casual, but like a more relaxed pace of doing the job on this side, which is great, especially with like where I'm at in my current stage of life. Do
you think this is good or bad based on like, I don't want to say like making it, but like getting to the high level of like there's like a more relaxed kind of vibe here. I've also heard it as like slower. There's a slower vibe here.
Yeah.
Do you think that like is a detriment to like why maybe the Southeast isn't quite taken at the same level as like a New York and LA?
I don't know. I have theories, and that's all I can do is kind of like put out, theories and stuff. But I think it's like growing pains. Like it's a market that's still kind of maturing into whatever it's going to become. And like with maturing, you have growing pains and stuff. And maybe we're still in that transitionary period for this market. I think one thing, and maybe this is just a product of like where we are in the industry, which is also in a transition. I want actors to continue to feed themselves and their craft, and being in class nonstop, if you can afford it, or at least being in places if you create it yourself to continue sharpening each other, is one area that I think there's a difference I've noticed in terms of the coasts. Like I have, I know a lot of people who are like, I don't have anybody in class right now. And I'm like, that is fascinating to me, because like you will need to be ready when we do get back up, and you can only be ready if you are in your practice. And so I think that the expectation of like always being training or always having, some like gym kind of time for your craft is that area that I think is most important for actors in this market.
I think not only that, like there's also a sense of like, if you want to like, I feel like actors bring this up all the time. It's like, somebody is like, what do you do? And you want to be able to say, I'm an actor, right? Yeah. And it's like, well, if you're not on set this week or next week or this month even, you're like, what are you doing to be able to like really own that answer of like, I'm an actor? And it's like, yeah, it's you auditioning, it's you in class, it's you improving, it's you learning, it's you, reading, getting into things, reading more scripts, watching more television, like just continuing to want to learn. Yeah. And I think you're right. Like so often actors are just like, oh yeah, I just don't have the money. I don't know. When I hear like, I don't have the money, especially in today's day, I'm like, there's so many things you can do. There's so many things.
Limitless opportunity.
That you can literally work for yourself. You can like walk dogs. You can drive Uber. You can do so many, you can sell candles on Etsy. Yeah. You can do like literally anything you want because of
Be
technology.
As creative as you want. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, So they're like, I don't have money for that. I'm like, no, like you're just not prioritizing things correctly. You're not setting yourself up to win. You're just like being lazy. Like you got to go figure it out, make it happen.
Or build the community that you need around that so that you guys are, investing in each other. But we do live in a time where you can hustle it and side hustle it multiple times over. So
multiple times over. Exactly. So when you guys were doing Hysteria, was there, well, actually, I'm watching the show right now and I was surprised at how funny the show is.
Yeah.
As dark as it also is, it's supposed to be, this horror kind of scary thing, but then there's also moments that I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah.
Was that something that you could see as casting it, like in reading through the scripts, or was that a surprise to you guys?
It was kind of pitched as like it was going to have these elements of humor, but it was still on the page at times. But like you look at the pieces of the whole, and you had Julie Bowen, an iconic comedic like presence,
right?
And these kids are so funny, and so like it was present, and then I think it's that fun balance of like. Of juxtaposing humor with the darker elements and stuff. And like Matt and David, who, the showrunners and writers and creators, like they're funny people. So like it doesn't shock me like when that stuff comes out. You're like, yeah, that's part of the product.
Yeah. Is there how do you feel as casting, like watching something back? Because I feel like there's like two sides of the coin for actors, right? It's like, I can't watch myself. And then there's, I think the actor that can like look at it and be proud.
Yeah.
I think of like what they're doing, maybe give themselves some like notes and feedback along the way. Is it similar? Is it like a two-sided coin for casting too? Or is it just like, we're just moving on to the next thing? Or
I mean, for me, especially like this being our first show in this new market, I watch it with a great sense of pride. I'm so excited for the people that booked these jobs or these roles and stuff, and like to see like this ensemble, like this, this Michigan town look so seamless and feel like it's a moment in time out of Michigan, and I'm like, that looks great, and I'm really like, I watch it with probably a different set of eyes, but like also like as a fan and as a designer, in a sense. So I'm so thrilled like with the end product of what this show like and all the work that everybody put into it. I kind of get to sit back and just enjoy it, but like with this knowing of like, oh wow, we like a lot of us put in a lot of hours to make this thing happen, and it looks really nice.
Awesome. Do you have that same sense of pride with everything, or this is like you said, this is like the first thing, so it has like a special kind of place?
Yeah, it might just be the stage of life that I'm into now that I can kind of like look at things differently. But I mean, I enjoyed the other shows that I've worked on. I think it always comes down to like your relationship with the people, producing it, involved. Like when you're working for a showrunner who you're like, they're great. I love their vision. They're such a good human. And like it's just like anything. Like when you're working with people you care about and whose vision that you align with, you're like, how can I not be excited about this? And I think that's probably a large chunk of it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we were so lucky to work with such incredible people, designers and everybody. Whole production team was just really top notch.
It's a period piece, which it seems crazy to say that the 80s is a period piece. But in the audition process for actors, do actors get like extra credit, or do they get bonus points if they're like, I don't know what the heck they're doing, but if they're doing something that signifies and shows off like the 80s, or is that like we're just gonna let set deck and wardrobe worry about that? Like if you're the actor, like don't worry about that.
Sure. I there's a couple things that come to mind. I think that you do kind of get points if it makes sense, dressed to suggest in a sense, but just don't let it be overpowering. Don't let it don't let all of the dressing, like with any audition, don't let that overpower what you're doing as an artist, and don't let it distract from like me just saying, okay, do they understand it? Are they in the moment? Are they connected to, their reader or whoever? Does this feel genuine and authentic? Like, add to it, but don't let the addition overpower what you're putting on the table in the proposal, so to speak.
Yeah, is there a because I think that's, I don't know, I mean, I guess easier said than done is like, don't let it overpower, but is there something that an actor can think about or know? It's like that's when you're beginning to cross the line.
Yeah, I think if you or somebody close to you who has an objective point of view on it can look at it and like and kind of be able to comment on it, that's always helpful. Yeah, I think if you can look at it and say, am I connected? Like, am I pulled into you and your eyeballs as the thing is going along, or am I catching myself thinking about your hairstyle or your eyeliner or whatever, like, or whatever thing you're wearing, like that I think is part of the discernment of what is too much. Either you being able to say, okay, objectively I can tell it's I'm pulled into what's happening in the scene, or if somebody in your creative camp can put eyeballs on it and be like, yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I feel like I'll say that I'll think about this more for props, like if you are like really excited about the prop, like if you're just like, oh, I'm so excited about it, then it's probably not working.
Yeah, you've already shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, if you're like too amped up about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe similarly, if you're like really amped about the shirt, you might be going down the wrong path.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a great way to look at it. Like, if the excitement is about anything other than your choices and like the connection of the work, maybe reassess.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, this shirt. Well, yeah, this shirt works. Like, all right, cool. Now you've moved on, and you're like, I'm glad I had this shirt on, but like now I'm thinking about this. But if you're like, no, wait till they see this shirt,
You're like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, bud.
One of the new bits I wanted to bring in this year is a random kind of a new thing that I'll bring in. But for you, I wanted to bring up the turning rejection into success moment maybe in your life. And I'm sure that there's more, but one that comes to mind for you in a time in your life when maybe you thought there was like a failure or a rejection and something that was like did not feel good, but now looking back to it, it either taught you a very fantastic lesson or it was actually setting you up for some major success in your life. Is there a moment you could share with us?
I mean, more or less even just my transition into this coast. Leaving LA was hard. I love Los Angeles. My community's there, the people who have poured into me and vice versa. And I would have never guessed that, like, when I worked on a film, and it was like one of my last casting jobs in LA, and I took a pay cut to be an assistant on 3 billboards, and I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
This is kind of like the Super Bowl. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to top this. Like, I think I've done all the things I need to do here. I'm working with one of the best playwright/screenwriters.
3 billboards was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like just reading that script, I was like, this is incredible. I was like, I knew instantly. I was like, there are going to be several awards tacked onto this thing.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing office to work with. I got to work with Sarah Finn, who is an absolute professional and an absolute gem of a human. And that whole office was amazing. And so it was kind of like, I think I'm kind of done here. And I started, transitioning. I wanted to go out and audition and be an actor for a while. And I thought that was my path was going to be. And like leaving LA to come to Atlanta gave me a new opportunity. And then in doing that, it brought me back to the thing that I really enjoy the most, which is casting. So I never would have seen that trajectory. Never in a million years would I've seen how this was going to play out. And getting to do the thing I love with someone who is like a best friend. Like, these are things that nobody gets. And I'm like, what an utter gift to be in a place that is filling my soul with a job that I really, really enjoy with a person who is, as close as family. So as hard as it is to leave something you love, for so long, I functioned from a place of fear of if I leave LA, all of my contacts, everything dries up, and it couldn't be further from the truth. But that was the narrative that I kept playing, because I watched people leave and I was like, well, I guess that's it for them, and it's like, what a silly thing to think. But like by moving forward in confidence and in strength, you find things that you just will not find if you simply settle for what you have. So
I love that so much.
yeah.
And I think there's like you want to obviously be grateful for what you have, but I love the and settling for what you have. Like understand that we want to continue to be growing. We want to continue to be getting better, whether that's like the next project or a new project or, a level up in your life. And it's like, yeah, if you're not continuing to move forward and push yourself and get outside of your comfort zone, you are settling for what you have. And again, it doesn't mean don't be grateful and don't be proud of where you currently are. But we don't want to, who wants to settle for where you are next year? Do you want to be where you are next year or 5 years from now? And no, you want to continue to move.
Yeah, don't put a ceiling above yourself. If so many other people will want to put a ceiling on top of you, don't be the first person to do it.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
You mentioned some other casting offices that you worked for. How does I always find this so interesting. I think actors sometimes forget this too. Is the casting office is also trying to get work.
Yeah.
Just like the actor's trying to get work.
Yeah.
How? Because I see different casting offices find success, and then I see other ones going at a little slower rate, and it's always so interesting to me. So how does casting go about getting jobs and continuing to grow those relationships like an actor would?
I mean, it's not dissimilar, and I think about that a lot. Your relationships will predicate your success. How good you are at what you do is a part of it, but how easy you are to work with, how you deliver the end product, it's a lot of things that you work years for in order to mature certain aspects of what you do, and it's not limited solely to what you've worked on, but that does help. But yeah, it's a lot of friendships, relationships, and as people also kind of level up in different areas, then you start to get phone calls, whether it's at the studio or a network, or if, people that were a writer here might, get their own show and stuff. And all of a sudden you're hearing from them. And yeah, it's just part of putting yourself out there and just work begets work,
Right. Yeah. Do you have any advice for, being on both sides? And like you said, maybe, you'd have all these things that you tell your younger self when it comes to communication, when it comes to, I don't even want to say networking, but networking, relationship building, especially in today's day, which is so different.
Yeah.
What advice do you have when it comes to that, for that relationship building that maybe we need to put some focus on?
I mean, I think this is probably true from the past, and hopefully will continue to be true. Is be curious about people whose artwork you like, and just be in places that you can absorb information from them. I think once we figure out that we know everything, it immediately stops our growth and it stops our potential. But as we continue to stay curious about what people are doing, and that always seems to generate, it makes conversation so much easier when you put it on other people and you're like, I want to know what you're up to. I want to know, a playwright who I love is from Decatur, happens to be in town, and I got to see her speak to some students at Agnes Scott the other day. And it was just, a couple hours of my day, but I was like, I want to be there because I care so much about the work that she does, that just getting to hear her, if we ever get to work together in a professional capacity, awesome. But just getting to support what she's already doing is so important to me. And I think functioning from that place of being in the zeitgeist with with artists who do stuff you like. It makes it that much easier, whether it's somebody who works in camera or a writer or whatever. But yeah.
Hey, are you a parent of a young actor? Then you're going to want to pay attention to this, because Get Scene Studios has what we call our Rising Star program. This program is incredible. It is a monthly program that puts you in front of an industry pro every single month and focuses on what a young actor needs to be focusing on, which is auditions. So every single month we focus on either theatrical auditions or commercial auditions, so they can be set up for success when they get an agent, or if they already have an agent, to really succeed at these auditions and even begin to make money at this. So we bring in different industry pros every single month, and agents and casting directors, and then work on those auditions. So if this sounds like something that you would like to get your child or a friend that has a child involved in, all you need to do is email risingstar@getscenestudios.com, and we will let you try your first month for just $1 a class. That's right, only $1 a class. All you got to do is email us, and we will get you all set up and ready to go to improve those auditions, and then also get in front of those industry pros, because we are Get Seen. Thanks for watching. I think that's such good advice. It seems easy, but I feel like in the moment it can be hard. Take some, be invested a little bit in the other person. We are always thinking about us.
Our thing.
Yeah, our thing. Even if I'm like, all right, I'm going to come talk to you, there is like a selfishness to it.
Can be, sure.
Right, yeah. Right, and so it's like, how can we get rid of that? Because I think that's what puts the pressure on. That's what makes it like awkward to go maybe talk to somebody that, in that networking, because it's starting with the like, I want to build this relationship because hopefully something will turn out from it, as opposed to just connecting.
Yeah.
So like, do you have advice on how to get rid of that selfishness? I
think you hit it on the head. Like, just changing the narrative in your internal thing, just like we would adjust, take a note in acting, and just shift the focus to like, how can I be interested in this person and learn more from them, and just not make it about end result. Like, throw that away, because we can't control anything, right? Like, we can only control how we show up.
Yeah.
And just be interested in like, I want to know more about like how you got here. That was part of it for me. I was like, how the hell did you get, your play produced at this incredible theater in London, And then like, oh, well, let me tell you, it's like that simple. Like, just be curious.
You know what? Hold on. Yeah, I think what you just said really kind of opened something up for me, is because you were like, what's something that you can get from them? And that's not in like a selfish manner. It's like something that you can like really truly learn from them.
Yeah.
And so even though it's a little bit selfish, if you want, that's how you can like I'm going to look at you and be like, what's something that Dalex does that like I admire?
Sure.
And that I would like to maybe put into my life.
Yeah.
So immediately, like, what I would think is like, there's a certain sense of like calm and groundedness about you. So if I was going to try to connect with you, but we didn't really know each other, I feel like if I could just go to that, like, he has this like calmness, groundedness, and be like, hey, do you do like yoga or meditation or something? Like, there's this like coolness, like calm about you. Boom, you're going to start talking. Now we have this connection. Yeah. I also started from a compliment, which let's be honest, we all like compliments.
We all love them. Yeah.
So I think that can really work.
Yeah. Yeah. Appreciating other people goes a long way.
Yes.
So, yeah.
We brought you in for one of our like workshops within our mentorship, our quarterly working actor workshops, and you did some improv and taught that. How I mean, I don't want to say like how did you?
It was so much fun. Thank you so much for that.
Oh,
BT dubs.
You're so welcome. Yeah. It was a blast. Talk about your improv training and its importance for actors.
I am the biggest advocate for improv probably on the Eastern Seaboard. I got sucked into it in college, and so the bug bit hard And then I moved out to LA, did a show terribly, and I was like, I never want to perform that bad ever again. And then I just took class after class and got invested in the West Coast improv scene. But from like an acting, like the benefit is, I mean, multi-layered. The things that you learn in long form improv comedy, you can apply to any creative discipline. I think for actors, it's great because you can synthesize something like a creative idea into something so quickly. And there's like I think it helps, it builds a confidence that I don't know where you get unless you just go up and put yourself out there in front of an audience and stuff. Like that level of like, I can go up and fuck up and just, sorry.
That's all right.
I can mess up so grandly on stage and then it just washes like, you know, like water off a duck's back. That kind of confidence, like aside from like stand-up comedy, which is truly an art form, like similar, but all in its own, like that kind of confidence and like collaboration is, you don't get that from many other tools in your work belt, I feel like. In terms of like from an audition, like I think that having the ability to quickly make creative choices and that muscle, because creativity is a muscle. This is my theory on creativity. And if you're not in the gym working it out, it will not pull the weight you need it to when you want. So yeah. I see it as like it's a workout, you know. It's like being able to get up. It teaches you storytelling structure, which I also think is really important to the auditioning process of knowing, okay, what story am I telling? Like whose story am I telling? Stuff like that. Yeah, I hope this is helpful because I could sit here and just word vomit on improv for hours on hours.
Is it something in the casting room that you're looking for on resumes, or it's something that maybe you see later, or?
Yeah, I mean, whenever, you know, I'm taking a peek at a digital resume, because that's how we see it all now is through that portal. Yeah, I like to have seen that people have gone through and gotten that, you know, training or have, you know, pursued that kind of work. Yeah.
And yeah, I would think it just gives you I don't know, like a certain sense of confidence with the actor if they have that type of training, right?
For sure. And like, I know that they've invested and there's a vernacular that we will both speak that like, you know, is part of that shared experience. But yeah, like definitely like I think improv has its benefits, and you know, I've known so many really talented improvisers that also, you know, it's a balance. Like you have to be able to like adhere to the script. It's not like, don't go into it like rewriting the script in an audition, and knowing and trusting that the words are perfect, but having like a freedom of, you know, performance and a freedom of confidence to like just get in there and do the damn thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you think about looking at a resume, you know, you'd be like, oh, Meisner is on there. Cool. Oh, Chubbuck is on there. Cool. But it's like improv literally can be on every single resume and it's always going to be a positive. Where like a Meisner or a Chubbuck, again, not downplaying them at all, but it's like an improv is just like it wins every time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, like, I do think that there's value in certain schools of thought. I went through like IO when IO West still existed and UCB, and those are really great training grounds for the art form, and it's also a great incubator because like you're around so many other talented artists who are, you know, also leveling themselves up, and so I mean. It's so cliche to say at this point because like UCB just used to be like a generic, well, you got to get it on the resume, you know, especially in the commercial world, like because there's so much fluidity to script and all the things that like can happen. Like you're hiring somebody who, you know, will make your thing shine, who's smart enough and quick enough to like, and generally like funny enough because funny wins the day if that's what's the spot, you know, what calls for. So yeah.
Nice. Well, I think we got to get to our spotlight sign off, which is 5 questions to end strong.
Solid.
Question 1 in the spotlight sign off, Dalex. What's something you're incredibly grateful for today?
Today. Oh, man. I'm super grateful for my community and my family. I've just celebrated a birthday, and getting to spend time with Marlo and her husband over lunch was fantastic. And so...
Marlo and Eric.
Marlo and Eric. Yeah.
Shout out.
Love him. Yeah.
Awesome. Second question is there a film or television show or book that changed the trajectory of your life?
Definitely. To this day, I think my favorite film is Dead Poet Society. And it changed I love education, and seeing somebody, Robin Williams is perfect, R.I.P. Seeing somebody play a character that inspired young artists inspired me to want to inspire young artists. Mm-hmm. I love that film. It's perfect.
That's awesome. What was it like? How did it inspire? Like, what was it specifically that you're like, this seeing this is making me want to do that? Watching characters, because on multiple levels you had different characters who were fighting things that, like adversity, and seeing people push through with integrity and care for each other and for art. That was it. I love it.
Yeah.
Question 3 is, what's something in your daily routine that you really cherish?
Honestly, my cup of decaf in the morning.
Yes.
Black, no sugar, decaf coffee. It is a fantastic way to start the day.
There you go. Yeah, we were talking about decaf. We were talking about decaf before we got started. I was like, "Can I make you a cappuccino?" He's like, he seemed embarrassed. I do decaf. I was like, "There's decaf beans in this thing."
I said, "Game on, brother."
No, I'm with you on that. There's like, I don't drink coffee for the caffeine. I drink it. Yeah, I don't know. It's like a comfort food or something.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 is, what's something you're currently trying to improve in your life right now?
I'm currently trying to be on my screen less. It is a thing that, like, it is ubiquitous for all of us, and there's always something pulling for your attention.
Yes.
And I am trying to be more conscious of how I engage with that, and for, time efficiency, mental health, all the reasons. So I'm trying to minimize screen time and maximize page time. So getting back into reading fiction, nonfiction, and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. What's like a strategy you're doing with the phone? Like, it's like, just leave it in a room with the door shut, or like, what are you doing? Because I'm sure everyone's like, yeah, I should be doing that too, right? So what's so far been working?
Putting it across the room when you go to bed, so that it's not the first thing that you do when you wake up.
Yes.
And like, your alarm goes off and you can go tap, but like, don't get sucked into it from the jump. I think there has to be so much scholarship and research done on like how, your morning routine affects your full day. And I think starting from a place of not living in that immediately has just been more beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's like an easy. I always like the easy action, right? The easy action is like, just put it over there.
Yeah.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Last question. We've gone over some cool stuff, but if we wanted to make sure the listeners, watchers, got one thing for sure, what would it be?
Oh boy. I think stay curious, like invest in yourself, and be the first champion of your own career. Like, it is so easy for artists, and myself included, even from where I sit, to downplay your own skills and abilities and accomplishments. I think having a healthy balance of like, I am good at this thing, I love this, and I am worth, being in this space. I have just as much purpose and appreciation in this, industry or whatever you're doing. Yeah, be the first champion for what you do.
I love that so much. That is so good and so important. I'm gonna give a bonus.
Bonus?
With Hysteria out. If we don't know about the show or we haven't started watching, what can we expect? What should we look forward to?
Look forward to some spoopy gore, some hilarity, and some retro fun.
I love that. I think that's a great description. That's a really good description, actually.
Yeah, thank you.
So make sure to go on Peacock if you don't have it already. Watch Hysteria. Check it out. Perfect for the season. Great show. Shout out to Dalex and Marlo for casting it here. And speaking of other things to watch, don't forget our other show on YouTube at Talent Agent Talk, hosted by Jason Lockhart. Check it out as he uncovers a bunch of booking stories and awesome lessons within. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to do so. We'll see y'all in the next one. Dalex, thanks so much, man.
Thank you, Jesse.